Dallas Morning News is in Muleshoe. Welcome, Tom Fox.
Thank you.
And you are what specifically for the Dallas Morning News?
I am a staff photographer, and I usually travel the state doing stories, and happen to be in Muleshoe this week doing a story on Lincoln Riley, the new Oklahoma football coach. So we visited with his parents yesterday, and they're good folks, and and the folks in Muleshoe are just wonderful to talk to and visit with and hang out like this, and and even drink some Muleshoe water. And
it's good water.
It is. It's really good. I'm impressed.
Yes, it certainly is. And you've been to our football field?
I have been to the football field. I was surprised. It's a very nice facility. AstroTurf, it's grade A all the way.
It certainly is.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of a junior college atmosphere up there.
A little bit. I saw the quarterback and a couple receivers doing some summer workouts, and very impressive for is this a 3A school? Uh-huh. Yeah. So, and a lot of dedication on the part of the coaches and the staff. So.
Now, this morning you did a story in Lubbock. What was that about?
Today I was at Texas Tech University covering their new quarterback, Nick Shimonek, and he's a kid from Corsicana, which is in the Dallas area. Sure. And we did a little interview, and then saw him at practice this afternoon for a little bit. And, you just can't travel to one part of the state and not just do one story. So we got several stories out of this week. So.
Well, what were the other stories?
Well, I always, when I come to West Texas, have to look for a little energy. So I was out hunting for some energy photos today, and some of the scenes around Lubbock and that kind of thing. So, there's ways to fill your time.
Have you ever been to Muleshoe before?
This is my first time to Muleshoe, actually. So it reminds me of a lot of other West Texas towns, very heavy into agriculture and, great town folk ranchers. Yeah.
Now, I understand that the photographers at the Dallas Morning News got a Pulitzer Prize, and how did that come about?
Oh, that was from Hurricane Katrina back in 2005, and we won the 2006 Pulitzer for breaking news photography. So I spent 10 days in New Orleans and the area and covered the devastation after the hurricane and the flood. So
now, how soon did you come in there with your camera?
Okay, well, I wasn't the first wave. I was second wave, and I came in on day 7 and stayed through day 17, I believe. Yep.
And how do you walk away from a scene like that and not carry it home with you?
Oh, you don't. You just carry it with you. So I still carry it with me. Yeah. You don't. You never forget something like that. What a tragedy. Yeah, a lot of people hurting. A lot of hurting people. But in the business that I'm in, you see a lot of that. I'm not saying I'm jaded or anything, but I've kind of gotten used to it a little bit. And you can learn how to pocket your emotions and do your job, and then think about it later and process it. So it's been 10 years now, so I've processed it quite a bit. And it's there's a few days that don't go by that I kind of think about it a little bit. And
Now, tell me, what was one of the hardest scenes that you saw in the Katrina in New Orleans? Or were you in other areas besides New Orleans?
I spent a great deal of my time, because, like I said, I was wave 2. So when the water started receding, I ended up spending a lot of time in Chalmette, which is across the river in north, kind of east of the 9th Ward. And that community, because they had a huge oil spill. And any other given day, that would have been a national, international story just in itself, because the large, 50,000 barrel tanks lifted in the water and spilled all over these neighborhoods. So the oil line was 3 feet up on the houses, and everything that was left behind was covered in oil, including all the animals and pets that were left behind. And so the one photo that people really remember from Hurricane Katrina of mine is the dog, the oily dog, and that was the kind of the poster child for all the pets that were left behind. So received a lot of emails from around the world, concerned about the dog and such. So.
And so, what happened to the dog?
We don't know. We tried to save it, but there was a mix up in which dog it was, and we thought we had found the dog, and obviously there's pets everywhere, so and many dogs, and not so friendly dogs too. I almost got attacked by a set of pit bulls. Yeah, that was adventurous, but this was a little Shih Tzu, and we had a dog that was very similar to a Shih Tzu that we found underneath a Pizza Hut, and returned it or got it to the rescue people, and they took it to LSU. So,
isn't that something? How a lot of animals were rescued, really.
oh yeah. I mean, they weren't until like a week or so in, because people couldn't get to these areas, and but they for the most part they gathered them up. I mean, it wasn't hard. All you had to do was drive into a neighborhood and start whistling, and the dogs came out of their hiding areas pretty quick because they were hungry, and even the pit bulls, they were very hungry after 7 days without food.
What is the most interesting story you've ever covered?
Oh, I tell you what, probably the biggest story I covered, I guess, and most rewarding, I guess, was the Olympics in Beijing.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, that was my second communist country within a couple of years, so I got a kind of a feel for it, and very interesting. But the games were my first, and it's quite an experience if you've never been to one. I remember it was just a lot of long days, and it was just a lot of sports day after day. But one of my old bosses said that covering the Olympics is like covering 3 Super Bowls a day, and so 3 Super Bowls for almost 3 weeks. It was by the end you're just kind of worn. But
I can't even imagine.
A lot of great moments, Usain Bolt's 2 world record races and such, and Michael Phelps, 8th medal, and the record setting that he did, and continued on in other games. But and Nastia Lukin, that was kind of my assignment. I covered her for a good week and a half. So that's our local gymnast, and she went on to become a star in her own right.
It certainly did. Mm-hmm. Now, tell me, how did you get your start in photography?
Oh, I was a painter. That's how I got started, and I had a camera. And a friend of mine that I had worked with said, "Hey, if you want to try photography, why don't you come up to the student newspaper and give it a shot?" So I did. And one thing led to another, and I ended up working weekends at the Dallas Morning News. And here I am, 27 years later, still working for them. So.
And so, where did you go to school?
Went to the University of Texas, Arlington. Out of high school from Duncanville. Previous high school in Missouri, then Fremont, Nebraska.
And are you married?
I am. Yep, been married 20 years this year to my lovely wife.
What's her name?
Lori Fox.
Lori Fox.
Mm-hmm. Yep, she's a journalist. We met in college.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what does she do?
Now she is the editorial advisor at the Shorthorn newspaper at UTA, where we started. So, Yep. And she was 20. She has 20 years in at the Dallas Morning News as well, and so
you have something in common.
Yes, it's a journalist family. Even our 14-year-old daughter has taken up a little bit of interest in photography and a little bit of reporting. Maybe she's curious. That's for sure.
Well, that's what it takes. It certainly does. And now, how many children do you have?
Just the one. Yeah.
And what's her name?
That's Avery. Yeah, she's a curious being, and she asks a lot of good questions. I don't know where she gets that.
Oh, well, I'm glad you came our way, all because of Lincoln Riley, the head football coach at the Sooners for this year. Isn't that something?
Yep, that's quite a thing. I mean, for somebody his age, and he possesses, from what I understand, a lot of football integrity, and a lot of smarts, and through the tutelage of Mike Leach, getting him started, has come a long way in a short period of time.
He certainly has, and we're so proud of Lincoln here in Muleshoe, and yes, we should be, but we are. And we're so glad that you came our way because of Lincoln Riley. And will you come back?
Hey, if I get up this way, yeah, I'll definitely come by. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. It's good to know there's people like you that, welcome people into town and sit them down in this chair and have a little, cup of water, and promote the city of Muleshoe. So
That's what we love to do, promote Muleshoe. Thank you so much, Tom Fox and the Dallas Morning News, for sending you our way.